Welcome to this deep dive into the world of trauma.
Yes.
We're going to be exploring The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel Kolk.
Mm-hmm.
It really digs deep into how trauma affects us,
It does.
not just mentally, but physically too.
Yeah.
Now, this book has been incredibly influential.
Oh, yeah. It's a game changer.
So why don't we jump into it?
Okay.
The book actually starts with stories of Vietnam veterans.
Right.
Why start there?
Well, I think Kolk uses the veterans' experiences as a powerful entry point to understanding the impact of trauma.
Okay.
Their struggles weren't just about, the nightmares or flashbacks.
Right.
It was so much deeper than that. It really affected their relationships, their ability to function, their whole sense of self.
Yeah, like their trauma was woven into the fabric of their lives.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And so take the story of Tom, for instance.
Cool.
He was haunted by survivor's guilt.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that his nightmares were a way to stay connected to his fallen comrades.
Oh.
And if he treated his PTSD,
Okay.
he would be betraying them.
So he felt like he had to hold on to the pain.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's a way of honoring their memory, keeping them alive in a sense.
But isn't that a bit counterintuitive?
Well,
Why would someone hold on to pain?
yeah, you see, that's something crucial about trauma.
Okay.
Sometimes holding on to the pain feels like the only way to stay loyal to those we've lost or to what we've gone through.
Wow. Yeah, it really shows how trauma can twist our thinking,
Absolutely.
making us hold on to pain as a form of loyalty.
Right.
That's powerful. Okay, so Kolk really emphasizes this physical basis of trauma.
He does.
Why is that understanding so important?
Well, for a long time, trauma was seen as all in the head.
Yeah.
But Kolk, drawing on years of research, argues that trauma has a real physical impact on our nervous system.
Right.
And understanding this is crucial for finding effective treatments.
So it's not just about talking through our problems. No.
It's about understanding how trauma has actually rewired our bodies and brains.
Exactly.
And this is something that, we've come to understand much more recently.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, even back in the 70s.
Yeah.
There was hardly any research or support for veterans,
Right.
even though they were clearly struggling.
And this is something that Kolk really points out.
Okay. Yeah.
Society hasn't always been great at acknowledging trauma.
So it makes you wonder how many people were suffering in silence.
Yeah.
Their pain dismissed or misunderstood.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that, we've come a long way in recognizing the impact of trauma, but there's still so much work to be done.
Yeah, it's not just war veterans either.
No, not at all.
Kolk makes it clear that trauma is shockingly common, affecting millions through child abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault.
Right. It's a sobering thought.
It is.
Yeah. So, as we kind of go through this book, he takes us on this fascinating journey through these revolutions in understanding the mind and brain. How did our understanding of mental illness kind of evolve over time?
Well, there was this monumental shift from viewing mental illness as, a result of sin or spiritual failings to a more scientific understanding of the brain.
Okay.
And Kolk was right there witnessing this transition.
So he had a front row seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He talks about working on a research ward.
Okay.
Trying to understand young people experiencing their first mental breakdowns.
And what was he observing during this time?
Well, his personal observations often clashed with the prevailing medical theories at the time.
Okay.
He'd have these, late night conversations with patients.
Okay.
Hearing stories of abuse and trauma, things that weren't even addressed during the formal medical rounds.
So it was almost like they were treating the symptoms without understanding the root cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it highlights the limitations of relying solely on observable symptoms.
Okay.
Without really considering the patient's lived experiences. He also talks about the limitations of early treatment approaches, like electroshock therapy for depression.
Yeah.
Which basically erased patients' memories instead of helping them process their experiences.
Okay, so a pretty stark contrast to the approach championed by his mentor, Elvin Semrad.
Yes, very much so. Semrad, his teachings emphasized acknowledging and experiencing the reality of our emotions.
Okay.
Rather than just trying to suppress them.
Okay.
He believed that healing required confronting and processing our difficult emotions.
So not running away from them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lean into them.
Face them head on.
Absolutely.
Get it. As the field evolved, There were huge breakthroughs in brain chemistry and the development of psychiatric medications.
Right. This was the era of the pharmacological revolution
Yeah.
with, the introduction of drugs like lithium and antipsychotics.
Right. And these medications, really transformed psychiatry.
They did.
Leading to the deinstitutionalization of many patients.
Right.
And offering relief to those who had suffered for years.
Absolutely. And there was a period of great optimism.
Okay.
Where people really believed these drugs could conquer mental illness.
But then van der Kolk raises some critical questions about the long-term impacts
He does.
of this reliance on medication.
Yeah.
So some might argue that medication is essential,
Of course.
for managing, severe symptoms.
Right.
How do we kind of reconcile that with the potential downsides that you just mentioned?
Well, I think he's not dismissing the value of medication.
Okay.
At all. But I think he's cautioning against relying solely on pills without addressing the root cause of the problem.
Okay.
And he talks about the overemphasis on the brain disease model can overshadow the importance of addressing the underlying causes of trauma and the social factors that contribute to mental illness. And so, this leads us to the next chapter, the neuroscience revolution, where we get to look inside the brain.
This is where things get really interesting.
Absolutely.
With the advent of brain imaging techniques like PT and fMRI, we can now literally see the brain in action and observe its response to trauma.
Yeah, this is where van der Kolk and his team at Harvard made groundbreaking contributions.
Okay, so tell me about that.
So they conducted this study where they asked trauma survivors to recall their experiences while lying inside a brain scanner.
So they're literally peering into the brains of people reliving their trauma.
They are.
Wow. What did they find?
Well, the results were astonishing.
Yeah.
They found that when these individuals relived their trauma, the amygdala, the brain's fear center, lit up.
Oh, wow.
Even years after the event.
So it's not just a figure of speech when people say they feel like they're reliving a trauma.
It's not. Their brains are actually reacting as if it's happening all over again. And this activation triggered a cascade of stress hormones leading to the physical symptoms of fear and panic.
So it really gives concrete evidence for the physical basis of trauma.
It does.
Yeah, showing how these past experiences can continue to hijack our bodies in the present.
Absolutely.
Wow. So did they find anything else?
Well, the scans also revealed another striking finding. During flashbacks, the left hemisphere of the brain, responsible for language and logical thinking, essentially shut down.
So while our emotional brain is on high alert, our ability to process and articulate what's happening is compromised.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this explains why many trauma survivors struggle to put their experiences into words. Their memories often feel fragmented and overwhelming.
Right. And it also helps us understand why traditional talk therapy can have limitations in treating trauma. If the part of the brain that processes language is offline, simply talking about the trauma might not be enough. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So if talk therapy alone isn't always enough, what other options are there? What does van der Kolk suggest?
Well, this is where the book dives into the mind-body connection. Which is absolutely key to understanding trauma and recovery.
All right, so let's talk about that. So what is this mind-body connection?
Well, he introduces this concept of top-down and bottom-up regulation.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so lay it on me.
Van der Kolk uses this analogy of a rider and a horse to explain it.
Okay, good analogies.
Okay, so the rider represents the rational brain, and the horse represents the emotional brain in a calm situation. The rider is in control, guiding the horse with ease. But when faced with a threat, the horse might bolt, and the rider has to struggle to regain control.
So during a flashback, our brain is like a runaway horse. And our rational mind is like, whoa, Nelly, trying to hold on for dear life. It perfectly captures the experience of trauma.
It does.
Where our emotional responses can completely overwhelm our rational thinking.
Wow.
Leaving us feeling out of control.
Yeah, okay, I see that. And so top-down regulation involves strengthening the rider.
Exactly.
Developing skills like mindfulness.
Right.
Emotional regulation to kind of better manage those intense reactions.
Right. learning how to calm the rider down so they can regain control of the horse.
Okay, and what about bottom-up regulation?
So bottom-up regulation focuses on calming the horse directly.
Okay.
It involves techniques that work directly on the body,
Okay.
things like breathwork, movement, and touch,
Okay.
to soothe the nervous system and restore a sense of safety.
So instead of just trying to think our way out of a panic attack,
Right.
we can use our bodies to help calm our minds.
Exactly.
This mind-body connection is so fascinating. I'm curious to learn more about how Kolk applies this to understanding trauma.
Well, he goes even deeper.
Yeah?
Exploring how trauma affects our senses and how we experience the world around us.
All right, let's dive into that.
Okay.
This is where we start to see the impact of trauma on our physical selves, right?
Exactly. It's fascinating how differently people can react to the same event.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
And Kolk illustrates this really well in the chapter, Losing Your Body, Losing Yourself.
Okay.
He talks about this couple, Stan and Ute,
Okay.
who survived a horrific car crash.
Oh, wow.
And they went through the same experience.
Okay.
But their responses to the trauma were drastically different.
Okay, so same crash, different reactions.
Yeah.
How did that play out?
Well, when Stan was asked to recall the accident in the brain scanner,
Okay.
he went into this full-blown flashback.
Oh, wow.
His body was reliving the terror as if it were happening right there in the scanner.
That's intense.
Yeah. And his scans, showed this heightened activity
Okay.
in the emotional areas of his brain, along with the surge in stress hormones.
So it was a physical manifestation of his fear and panic.
It was.
Wow.
But Ute's response was the complete opposite.
Okay.
She went numb.
Mm.
Her brain activity plummeted, and she reported feeling nothing.
Wow.
It was like her system had completely shut down.
So it's almost like their brains chose opposite ways of coping
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
with the trauma.
Stan's brain was in this fight or flight mode,
Right.
reliving the experience,
Oh, yeah.
while Ute's brain went into this freeze response, shutting down to protect itself.
Yeah, so they're both trying to protect themselves, but using completely different strategies.
Right?
Now, you mentioned earlier that Ute's numbing response
Mm-hmm.
could actually be more detrimental in the long run.
It can be.
Why is that?
Well, Kolk points out that while reliving can be terrifying and disruptive,
Okay.
numbing essentially cuts people off from life. It
What?
prevents them from experiencing joy, connection, and even simple pleasures.
That's heartbreaking to think about.
They're living in this fog, unable to fully engage with the world,
Right.
or even with themselves.
So how can we help people like you
Mm-hmm.
reconnect with their bodies and reclaim their sense of self?
Well, this is where that body-brain connection becomes so crucial.
Okay.
It's not enough to just talk about the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We need to help the body process and release all that stored tension and fear.
Okay.
And, Kolk highlights therapies like EMDR yoga and neurofeedback that address this mind-body connection.
So we can use the body to help heal the mind.
We can.
Yeah. I'm excited to kind of dive into those therapies a little bit later.
Yeah.
But before that, the book takes a little bit of a turn,
It does.
exploring the role of relationships
Right.
in both causing and healing trauma.
Right. And in the chapter, Trapped in Relationships, the cost of abuse and neglect is particularly powerful.
Yeah.
It really delves into the devastating impact of childhood trauma,
Okay.
especially when it occurs within the family.
Yeah. This is where things can get really complicated.
Absolutely.
Children are so vulnerable, and their early experiences can really shape their whole outlook on relationships.
Absolutely. And Kolk stresses that children are especially vulnerable to trauma because their brains are still developing.
Okay.
And, early experiences can literally wire their brains for how they'll see the world and connect with others.
Wow.
And, he shares some truly heartbreaking stories
Okay.
of children who have been abused or neglected by their caregivers.
Right. The people who are supposed to love and protect them.
The very people.
Yeah. It's a betrayal of trust on such a fundamental level.
Absolutely. And these experiences leave lasting scars, impacting their attachment patterns, their ability to trust, and their sense of self-worth.
Wow. So it often sets up a cycle of trauma
It does.
that can be difficult to break.
It's very difficult to break.
And so these children, when they become adults,
Yeah,
may find themselves drawn to unhealthy relationships
they do.
that kind of mirror those early experiences,
Right. They're unconsciously trying to recreate the familiar. Right.
even if it's harmful.
Even if it's harmful, yeah. And this really highlights the need for early intervention and support
It does.
for children who've experienced trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to help them develop healthy coping mechanisms
Okay.
and break free from these destructive patterns.
I agree. Early intervention is key.
Hmm.
Um, and Kolk also talks about how trauma can affect adult relationships as well.
He does.
How does that play out?
Well, he explains how trauma can lead to all sorts of difficulties in adult relationships,
Okay.
problems with intimacy, communication, and trust.
Okay.
He talks about how the heightened fear and reactivity that's often present in trauma survivors
Right.
can create a lot of tension and conflict,
Okay.
making it hard to maintain a sense of safety and connection.
So it's like they're constantly on edge,
Mhm.
anticipating a threat that may not even be there.
Right. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
And it's not just the trauma survivor who struggles either.
You know, Kolk talks about the challenges faced by their partners
Mm-hmm.
who often feel confused and hurt by, the seemingly unpredictable behaviors
Right.
and emotional swings.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It must be incredibly difficult for both partners to navigate.
It is. And this is where education and support for both partners
Mhm.
becomes so important.
So learning to recognize the impact of trauma,
Hmm.
developing healthy communication skills,
Right.
finding ways to support each other's healing journey.
Absolutely. It sounds like a lot of work,
It does.
but also incredibly rewarding.
Yeah. But is it even possible to find real lasting love
That's a great question.
after experiencing trauma?
And it leads us to a chapter that really captures the potential for healing
Okay.
through connection. What's love got to do with it?
Okay.
It explores how love and secure attachment can be instrumental in the recovery process.
Okay, so love is the antidote to trauma.
Well, Kolk describes how safe, supportive relationships can help us regulate our nervous systems, rebuild trust, and rediscover a sense of joy and belonging.
Okay, so it can help us to rewire those neural pathways
What?
in a more positive direction.
Right. And he emphasizes the importance of attuned communication.
Okay, what's that?
It's about being truly present with your partner,
Okay.
really listening to and understanding their experiences,
Mm-hmm.
even the difficult ones.
So it's not just about talking.
No.
It's about really seeing and hearing your partner.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where both partners feel seen, heard, and valued,
Mm-hmm.
where they can share their vulnerabilities without fear of judgment or rejection.
That sounds like the foundation of any strong relationship,
It is.
but especially vital for those who've experienced trauma.
Absolutely. And Kolk also talks about the importance of touch,
Okay.
of safe, nurturing physical contact.
Okay.
He explains how gentle touch can release oxytocin, which promotes feelings of love, trust, and connection.
That's so fascinating how something as simple as touch can have such a profound impact on our well-being.
Right. It's a reminder that even after trauma, our bodies are still capable of experiencing love, pleasure, and connection.
Mm-hmm.
And these experiences can be incredibly powerful forces for healing.
It sounds like there's real hope there.
There is.
But what about those who've experienced trauma in childhood, where love and safety were absent?
Right.
Can they still find healing in healthy relationships?
Well, that's where we delve into the often overlooked topic of developmental trauma, which can have, long-lasting and profound effects.
Okay, let's explore that further.
Yeah.
I'm ready to learn more about the impact of early trauma
Yeah.
and how we can help those who've experienced it. We've been talking about the impact of trauma, particularly in childhood.
Yeah.
What does Kolk say about developmental trauma? What makes it so different from other types of trauma?
Well, developmental trauma really gets at this hidden epidemic of childhood adversity.
Okay.
And Kolk points to the Adverse Childhood Experiences study,
Mm-hmm.
or the ACE study,
Okay.
which showed a startling link
Okay.
between childhood trauma and a range of, serious problems later in life.
Okay, so the more trauma you experience as a child,
Yeah.
the greater your risk for problems later on.
The greater your risk.
What kinds of problems are we talking about?
The study found that the more adverse experiences a child has,
Okay.
the higher their risk for things like heart disease, cancer, depression, substance abuse.
Wow. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah,
It really underscores the need to protect children from trauma.
absolutely. And Kolk goes on to discuss the specific challenges faced by survivors of developmental trauma.
Okay.
They often struggle with a complex mix of symptoms like difficulty regulating emotions,
Okay.
forming stable relationships, trusting others.
Okay.
They might also experience chronic health problems and engage in self-destructive behaviors.
So it's not just emotional and psychological.
No.
It affects their physical health as
It
well.
affects every aspect of their being.
Yeah. And because developmental trauma occurs during such a critical period of brain development,
Right.
it can have a profound impact on the way these individuals cope with stress.
Absolutely. They might be easily triggered, have difficulty calming down, or just feel overwhelmed by everyday challenges.
And so Van der Kolk emphasizes the need for specialized treatment approaches
It does.
that take all of this into account.
Yeah.
Okay, so just talking about the trauma might not be enough.
It might not be enough.
They need a more comprehensive approach.
Right.
What kind of therapies does Van der Kolk recommend for developmental trauma?
Well, he doesn't prescribe a one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay.
He really emphasizes that treatment needs to be tailored to the individual's specific needs.
Okay.
But he does highlight several therapies that have shown promise
Okay.
in helping trauma survivors heal and reclaim their lives.
All right, let's dive into those.
Okay.
I know a lot of listeners are probably eager to hear about what can help.
One therapy that he explores in depth is EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Okay.
It's a technique that uses bilateral stimulation. It's like eye movements or tapping to help the brain process and integrate traumatic memories.
I've heard of EMDR.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while, but there's still some debate about how it works, right?
Yeah, EMDR has been met with some skepticism,
Okay.
but there's a growing body of research that supports its effectiveness in treating PTSD and other trauma-related disorders.
So how does it actually work?
Well,
What's happening in the brain during EMDR?
that's still being studied, but it seems like the bilateral stimulation helps to activate both hemispheres of the brain,
Okay.
allowing for a more integrated processing of the traumatic memories.
Okay.
And it can help to reduce the intensity of flashbacks and nightmares,
Okay.
improve emotional regulation, and foster a sense of empowerment and control over one's responses.
That's pretty incredible. It's like helping the brain to rewire itself.
In a way.
Yeah. Okay. Another therapeutic approach she highlights is yoga.
Yeah.
Yoga? You mean like the stretching and breathing exercises?
Right.
I wouldn't have thought of that as a trauma treatment.
Yeah, it might seem surprising at first.
Okay.
But yoga can be a really powerful tool for reconnecting with the body and cultivating psych-awareness,
Okay.
which are really crucial aspects of trauma recovery.
Yeah, it makes sense that being more in tune with your body
Yeah.
could help with processing trauma.
Exactly. And the mindful movements and breathing practices of yoga can help to regulate the nervous system,
Right.
reduce anxiety, and increase body awareness.
I imagine not all yoga is created equal.
Well,
Are there specific types of yoga that are better for trauma?
Van der Kolk stresses the importance of finding a trauma-informed yoga teacher,
Okay.
someone who understands the unique needs of trauma survivors
Okay.
and can create a safe and supportive environment.
Okay.
It's not about pushing yourself to your limits.
Okay.
It's about gentle exploration and self-compassion.
It seems like a common theme with a lot of these therapies is about creating a safe space
Absolutely.
to explore the trauma.
Safety is paramount.
Yeah. And speaking of safety, Van der Kolk talks a lot about the importance of self-leadership
He does.
in trauma recovery.
Yeah.
It's about empowering individuals to take an active role in their healing journey,
Right.
to become experts in their own bodies and minds.
It's about taking ownership of your healing, not just passively waiting for things to get better.
Okay. And one way to foster self-leadership is by creating structure and routine in one's life.
Exactly.
Okay.
This can provide a sense of stability and predictability,
Okay.
which can be incredibly grounding for trauma survivors.
Trauma can be so chaotic and unpredictable.
Right.
Having some structure and routine could really help to create a sense of safety and control.
It can.
Okay. Are there any other therapies that Van der Kolk talks about?
Yeah, he also explores neurofeedback,
Okay.
which is a more high-tech approach.
All right.
It uses real-time displays of brain activity to teach individuals how to regulate their brain waves.
That sounds pretty futuristic. How does it work?
It might sound complicated, but it's actually fairly straightforward. The person undergoing neurofeedback gets hooked up to sensors that monitor their brainwaves,
Okay.
and then they see these brainwaves displayed on a screen,
Okay.
often in the form of a game or animation.
Okay.
And through this feedback, they learn to identify and modify their brainwave patterns.
So they're essentially learning to control their brain activity in real time.
They are.
Wow, that's amazing.
And this can help to, calm their nervous system, improve focus and concentration, and reduce impulsive behaviors.
Okay. And is neurofeedback effective for treating trauma?
There's promising research that suggests it can be very helpful.
Okay.
And it's a non-invasive, drug-free approach, which makes it a particularly appealing option.
Yeah, I can see why that would be appealing.
For many trauma survivors.
Okay, so it sounds like there are a lot of different ways
There are.
to approach trauma recovery.
Yeah.
It's not just one size fits all.
It's not a one-size-fits-all.
And Kolk ends the book with a powerful message.
He does.
About the importance of finding your voice.
Mm-hmm.
He emphasizes that trauma often silences individuals.
It does.
Leaving them feeling powerless and disconnected from themselves and others.
Absolutely. And, the process of healing involves reclaiming your voice, learning to express yourself authentically, and setting healthy boundaries.
So it's about taking back your power.
It is.
Rediscovering who you are and what you want to say.
Exactly. And Kolk encourages trauma survivors to find creative outlets for their expression.
Okay.
Whether it's through writing art music or simply speaking their truth in therapy or in supportive relationships.
That's so inspiring. It's about finding ways to channel those experiences into something positive and healing.
It is. And, the body keeps the score really drives home the message that healing from trauma is about more than just symptom reduction.
Okay.
It's about rediscovering our wholeness, reclaiming our agency, and living a life filled with meaning and purpose.
It's an incredible book that offers so much hope and insight. It's a must-read for anyone who wants to understand the impact of trauma.
Yeah.
And the remarkable capacity we all have for healing.
I couldn't agree more. And I think what's most inspiring about Kolk's work is his unwavering belief in the resilience of the human spirit.
Okay.
He's seen the devastating effects of trauma firsthand.
Right.
But he's also witnessed incredible healing and transformation.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, there's always hope.
There is.
And there's always a path towards recovery.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up our deep dive into The Body Keeps the Score, I hope you, the listener, feel a sense of possibility.
Yeah.
Trauma is a profound experience, but it doesn't have to define you.
Right.
Healing is possible, and there are so many resources and approaches available to support you on that journey.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you.
We encourage you to check out The Body Keeps the Score for yourself.
Please do.
And to continue exploring this important topic. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a fascinating and thought-provoking subject.
We will.